Hi, everyone. My name is Dr. Joanne Foster, and it's a pleasure to be able to speak with you and discuss the power of creativity. A little bit about me. I'm recording this from Toronto, Canada, where I live and work. Much of my work involves dealing with educational matters such as high level development, motivation, creativity, procrastination, and children's well being. And I do a lot of writing. I've written 7 books, and I also write articles for various publications. So I do encourage you to check those out and to go to my website, which is joannefoster.ca, to find out more about the kind of work that I do. A lot of the work that I do relating to creativity can be found at thecreativitypost.com. So I invite you to check that out as well. And because we are talking about world unity, creativity is something that certainly transcends every country, every age bracket, every activity that we do. In fact, I can't think of anything more important offhand than having creativity to help us build a new future, to help us move forward, to solve problems, uh, to help develop coping mechanisms, relationships, better ways of being. And of course, creativity is a life skill. So I'll be discussing that as well. So over the next little while, we're going to talk about the power of creativity, why creativity matters, some of the benefits. We'll talk about how creativity develops, what sorts of environments work to enable creativity. We may talk a little bit about some of the struggles that people encounter with respect to creativity, and we'll go on to some strategies and takeaways that will empower people to be as creative as possible. So let's get going, and we'll start with that first focus, which is why does creativity matter? And I think that perhaps the most important reason that creativity matters is it allows us to pivot when necessary. It enables us to take challenges and look at them through a new lens with new perspectives, um, to find ways to problem solve. Creativity also brings joy, it brings pleasure, it fosters connections with other people, it provides solace and comfort sometimes when we're low and we come up with a new idea and a new way of looking at things and we're thinking, yeah, that's better. That's a good way to move forward. It can spark excitement. And especially for children, I think it can be a means of moving forward at school in our learning, building upon what we already know, and then taking those to next steps. Creativity, in short, is a means of living life more fully, whether it's at home, whether it's at school, whether it's inside, outside, any season, any age, from cradle to crypt. It enables us to engage with the world in different ways. And it's a skill building staple. It underlies any other skill that we learn because the more creative we can be, the stronger we can be as well, and the more independent. So, those are some of the benefits of being creative and why it really matters. Let's talk a minute about how creativity actually develops. Creativity is a choice, and people can decide whether or not they want to use the creativity they carry around with them all the time or not. It's almost like a superpower. We can take it out of our pockets and activate it, or we can let it just sit there. And you all have that image, I'm sure, that you've seen of the light bulb sitting on top of your head. And that just means it's been activated. It means that somebody has come along and sparked an idea and fueled some excitement. So if we think about creativity developing like that, like turning it on, that's a very easy way to ponder the possibilities. Creativity as choice means that it is not a matter of fixed abilities or fixed personality traits. Rather, it has to do with the attitudes that you have, how flexible you are, and the ways in which you look at things, including your daily activities and your life decisions. And you can help children and others, friends, family members, professionals, whomever you interact with, you can help them choose to be creative just by showing them the way and being creative yourself. So, creativity, I mentioned before, is built on a foundation of knowledge and skills. You should know that creativity also builds over time. And in order for it to be maximized, It helps to have suitable learning opportunities and challenges and supports, because those are what cause us to stretch in new directions and to broaden our horizons. Asking questions, being curious, taking initiative, being spontaneous. All of these underlie the choice to be creative. Creativity develops then step by step, one step at a time. It involves mastering challenges, and it requires effort. Creativity is also born of dialogue, by interacting with other people. It's born of clarity, finding your way through those thorns and issues. Creativity is born of collaboration, getting together with others and sharing ideas and brainstorming and taking things on in ways maybe you had not anticipated, but that someone else suggests. And creativity is also born of reflection, thinking things through and seeing if you can find a new way, a new pathway to travel. So we're talking dialogue, clarity, collaboration, and reflection. It's also helpful sometimes to consider slowing down, to take time to discover the wonder in the world around you, to address the curiosities that come to mind, and to become more aware of the riches and possibilities within the world around you. Nevertheless, some people do struggle with creativity. They just don't seem to let it come forth. Maybe they're inhibited. Maybe they feel that, they just don't have that creative edge. And I think that there are ways to get around that. And the first is to become aware of what it might be that could be impeding your creative expression. So, some of the things that you might want to be aware of if you find yourself struggling with creativity might be rigidity. Allow yourself to have that flexibility that will enable you to look at things in different ways. Try to avoid having someone around scrutinizing you. Find a corner, a spot where you feel safe and comfortable so that you can let your creativity flow. Nobody does well with someone sort of sitting over their shoulder and uh, making them feel ill at ease. Doubt can be an issue if you're not sure that your creativity is going to be well accepted by someone else. So don't worry about that. Let it come forth and worry about any kind of criticism or so forth later. Let your creativity just go. Another problem with some people is that they're tired. These have been very difficult times, and fatigue can be a downer. And it's important to get enough rest, to get the proper nutrition that you need, and to look after your health, because people who are creative really are calling upon the strengths that they have, and good rest and good nutrition and good health are really important for that. Sometimes people don't exercise their creativity because they don't see any progress in what it is that they're doing. And this is often true for children too. If you don't see that you're making progress and you're going anywhere, then you can sort of stop or procrastinate. And so try to find those one step marbles as you go, those little things, and embrace them so that you can move on to the next step and celebrate your progress, those small successes. Another issue in terms of impeding creativity might be unfair expectations. So you might want to revisit those. And again, because we're talking about one step at a time, you can have small expectations along the way. You don't need long haul ones. You can have little ones and work bit by bit by bit. And that takes away some of the complexity that might be posing difficulty for you when you're trying to get creative. And make sure you have the provisions, the stuff that you need, whether it's paints or paper or musical instrument or whatever equipment might be required for you to do anything from origami to ice shaving to sand sculpting, whatever it might be. Have those provisions and then be confident and say that you will do this. Creativity does not come easily. It involves preparation. It involves incubation or thinking through the ideas. It involves that illuminating moment, that light bulb moment. And then it involves some verification too, somebody who will listen to what it is that you have to share and maybe give you some constructive advice, give you some feedback, help you get to the next level. So find your cheerleaders out there. Find the people who will encourage you and reinforce your efforts and help you to become as creative as you might possibly be. So we've talked a little bit about why creativity is important. We've talked a little bit about how it develops step by step, involving mastering challenges and requiring effort. And we've talked a little bit about some of the challenges and what to be aware of and how to overcome them. What are some additional suggestions for fostering creativity, regardless of age, regardless of culture, regardless of circumstances or profession, whatever walk of life you come from? Creativity is at your beck and call. So I'm going to give you what I call the 5 R's of creativity. So the first is to be resourceful, to get out there and get the information you need so that you can take your creativity to a next level, so that you can foster your own abilities. Resourceful was the first R. The second R is be reasonable. Be fair to yourself. Don't overdo what it is you need to do. Take it to the point where you are comfortable, where you feel gratified by what you're doing. Give yourself a break when you need it, and enjoy the creative expression and enjoy the moment of making something happen and using your imagination and engaging with the world in different ways. So resourceful and reasonable. The third R, being receptive to change. These last couple of years have been really challenging, and things are changing all the time. Nothing seems to remain the same, and we have to pendulate. We have to roll with it. We have to navigate landscapes that perhaps we've never navigated before. And that's where creativity can really come in handy too, because it will help us find a new way. It will further our growth and enable us in perhaps ways we hadn't even expected. So resourceful, reasonable, receptive to change. Number 4 is to be respectful. To respect your own inclinations, to be respectful of other people when they offer their feedback or their comments, to listen, to think about ways that you might be able to, in fact, be reciprocal and help them. And from respect of one another's ideas, we build. And the 5th R is to be responsive to questions, to be willing to inquire, be willing to think about things in new and unanticipated ways, but also in ways that will make you feel as though you are embarking on a new threshold. Ask those questions. Indira Gandhi once said that the power to question is how did she say it? It's the basis for all human progress. That was it. The power to question is the basis for all human progress. So as members of humankind, we need to question what we do. We question one another. We find new ways. And that's how we all grow. And it's those diverse ways of learning and exploring and experimenting and inquiring that open up new doors and gateways and provide new opportunities for learning and personal growth. So we want to be resourceful. We want to be reasonable, receptive to change, respectful, and responsive to questions. And just for the record, I've got another couple of R's, which I don't want to leave out, or I would be remiss. One is to recalibrate, be willing to sometimes when you get tired or when you get low or you're just not feeling it, you sort of sit back and you recalibrate, you revisit, reimagine, whatever it might be. And also to re-energize, to give yourself a chance to refuel your tank, to know when it is that you need that rest or nutrition or attention to your health that might be required. So recalibrate and re-energize. Those are 2 more R words. There are other suggestions that I'd like to share with you for fostering creativity as well. One is to um, be aware of the magnitude and manageability of whatever creative task it is that you take on. It has to be something that you feel is a good fit with you. It has to be fair. It has to enable your ability to negotiate or be flexible. If something is too constraining or unmanageable or feels like it's just not right, chances are you're not going to tackle it. You're not going to put creativity into it. So, again, pay attention to the magnitude and the manageability of any task or activity. For many people, consistency and routines matter a lot. They tend to be creative at certain times of day or in certain environments, and that's okay. So if that's what works for you, then be aware of that. A lot of people like quiet. They only can function and be creative in a quiet milieu, whereas other people might like music in the background or a room filled with flowers or being outside in a natural environment. So everybody's space might be different. So pay attention to that as well in relation to your creative output. Um, it's important, especially for children, to be able to feel that they can ask for help if they want to be creative and they feel that no one's going to help them and no one's going to give them any kind of reinforcement. That can be problematic. So enable, whether it's a friend, a child, a family member, a professional acquaintance, whoever it might be, enable them to express their concerns, their fears, uncertainties, and to ask for assistance and be prepared to give it, because that's always a nice thing to do. Listen carefully to what they have to say, because remember, some people might find it hard to verbalize their thoughts or their ideas or their feelings. So you have to be patient too. I want to talk for just a minute about nurturing curiosity, which is a really important suggestion for um, cultivating creativity and igniting it. I love this particular quote by William Arthur Ward, who says, "Curiosity is the wick in the candle of learning." And I think that it's not only the wick in the candle of learning, to be honest with you, it's a wick in the candle of living. It's a life skill. Curiosity is what fuels our creative endeavors. And so we really have to be prepared to nurture that and to pay attention to those questions children ask, to help them ignite their imagination and motivate their learning and help them find meaningful answers in whatever it is that they're exploring or learning about. The joy of creativity is one of the first things I mentioned, and I think that we need to also pay attention to the fun factor. Creative enjoyment is fun, whether it's creating music, doing crafts, um, trying out different physical activities on water, wheels, skateboards, you name it. All of this is opportunity for fun. And I think that is a major component for creative expression. Aim for relevance. Creativity gains something by being relevant rather than getting sort of lost in the fray. So if you can connect it to something that you know, something that you feel passionate about, something that you're interested in, that will help you to be more creative. And if you can collaborate with someone who can, teach you next steps and give you some mentoring or guidance or ideas to help your interests and strengths become more creative, that's a real plus as well. And it also will help you to trigger your aspirations to go further in different areas where you might not have thought to go before. So again, that curiosity that we talked about might build. It's really important to reinforce play and downtime. Play and downtime matter because they are almost like a fresh landscape upon which you can build a foundation for learning, for creativity, for becoming stronger. And I'm not talking just about play for children, I'm talking about play for adults too, whether it's puzzles or games or reading or crocheting or whatever it might be. I mean, just that whole idea of having the opportunity to relax, enjoy, and have time to spend either with yourself, if you wish to just have that quiet mindfulness time, or time with family and friends that can provide you with new outlets for your creativity and enable you also to build on whatever it is you might be wanting to do. Having that playtime and that downtime can be a way to give yourself incentive and purpose, which can fuel your effort as you go forward. I think what's really important through all of this, though, however, is that um, you reinforce that value of creativity that I mentioned earlier, that you show others by example, by your own creative expression, why it's important in your own family's daily life, why it's important in what you do over the course of your 24-hour day, and how being creative can stretch boundaries not only for you, but for those with whom you interact and help people cope with whatever comes their way as well, and lead to other exciting opportunities. So again, using your creativity as a catalyst to help other people learn to value why creativity is so important and why that choice really matters. And I should mention too that sometimes in terms of creativity, there's a certain amount of risk taking involved because we're stretching boundaries and we're going in directions that might be new or unfamiliar and unique in many ways. So reinforcing that creativity is really important because sometimes people are just a little bit afraid to take that next step, and they value it when someone else shows that they've done it and hey, I can do it too. So I think we need to think about that reinforcement of the value of creativity. I wanted to spend a couple of minutes here before I conclude around what the optimal environments are for nurturing creativity. We talked about some of the ways in which we can ignite the creativity, but the environment, what is around us, is also paramount. So I just want to focus on that for a minute. The environment should be safe so that whoever is trying to be creative feels comfortable about doing it. It should be appropriately challenging. So whatever it is they're going to do is not so difficult as to be unwieldy, but not so easy as to be boring. It should be an environment that's welcoming of diversity, that encourages people to try different things and new approaches and new ways of tackling activities and making mistakes. Errors and obstacles are seen as opportunities for learning, and so should it be for creativity too, whereby if you stumble along the way or you have to go back a couple of steps, that's okay. That's part of the creative process, and that resilience is part of the learning process as well. An optimal environment for creativity should be one when there's time to listen, time to put forth effort, time to reflect, focus, to refocus, to not feel rushed and pressured, time to ask questions and to listen carefully to the answers, and then to ask more questions if need be, furthering that curiosity. Opportunity to work with varied kinds of materials under various conditions. All of that will help to benefit creative output as well. And celebrating each other's successes, celebrating past successes, past creative endeavors, even the small ones, and even the brainstorming thoughts, and even the ideas that are just little buds of an idea and will somehow come to bloom. Those are environments that you want where everybody feels as though they're contributing to the whole. So I just want to conclude with some takeaways here. The first is that going back to my first R, which was resourceful, I want to share with you my website again, which is joannefoster.ca, and my articles at the Creativity Post, which is creativitypost.com. I've written several books. The most recent is called Being Smart About Gifted Learning, which is co-authored with Donna Matthews. And we talk about not only gifted learning in relation to identified gifted learners, but in what ways can learning be maximized, high level development be optimized for children across the learning spectrum? What can we learn from the gifted education community that can reinforce learning for all children. So again, chapter 2 here is on creativity. Another book that I've written is called The ABCs of Raising Smarter Kids. And this is all done in alliteration. So A, I talk about advocacy and accountability, and B is about, brain power and belonging. And I work my way all the way through the alphabet. O is for opportunities, M is for motivation, and so on down the line. And the whole thing is alliterative. And there are diagrams and sketches and so forth in here, and different ways to be creative, hundreds and hundreds of them. And in this book, which Donna Matthews and I wrote together, Beyond Intelligence, there's also a chapter on creativity. It's called Beyond Intelligence, Secrets for Raising Happily Productive Kids. And there's actually a creativity quiz in here for adults to help you determine whether or not you are as creative as you might be. So I just wanted to share those with you. And of course, at the Creativity Post, I have well over 80 articles on creativity, everything from music to struggles to crafts to questions to ask, curiosity, choice, tenacity. I mean, tons and tons out there. So please just go there and poke around. And by the way, there's information around, I write for the educational column, but there's also creativity as it applies to philosophy and business and psychology and the arts and technology and so forth. So it's a wonderfully informative online platform, creativitypost.com. So for my takeaways, the first is to enable choice. If you want your creativity to really fuel you as a potential superpower person, and we all have that potential, then you really have to think that you are going to choose, you are going to decide to be creative. Because the wider the range of experiential opportunities you have, the better the chance for you to be creative, the better the chance for you to choose. So choose what you do. Get out there every day. Do something exciting. Use your imagination. Find a new road to travel. Explore a new venue. Take yourself someplace where you've never been before and choose to look at it through different lenses and to be creative and to find those meaningful, motivating moments. And then write or take a picture or draw or sing or do whatever it is you need to do to be creative. So enable choice is my first takeaway. My second takeaway is to focus on your own abilities and your interests and what it is you like to do, because you want to be having fun. And we have the most fun when we're doing what we like to do. So honor your own abilities, honor your own uniqueness, capitalize upon your strengths. Find what it is that's intriguing to you. And if you don't like that, then find something else the next day. But take a chance and use your abilities and interests as springboards for new ones. My third takeaway has to do with inviting yourself to try something different. Send yourself an invitation. It doesn't have to be a formal invitation. You can wear blue jeans and make it messy, because messiness is good for creativity. But invite yourself to be expressive, to be reflective, to be curious. Invite yourself to collaborate with other people and to just let your ideas percolate. If you don't invite yourself, no one else may invite you. So you might as well take that first step and try and take those risks and celebrate what you do. So enable choice, focus on your abilities and interests, invite yourself to do good things. The fourth one is to model or to reinforce what's necessary in order for creativity really to take wing. So just like when a bird takes wing and leaves the nest and has to be coaxed a little bit, in order for you to take wing and do that, you're going to have to call upon your patience, your resilience, your effort, your enthusiasm, and your optimism. And you can do that. And when you show those things, when you show that you can be patient and resilient and resourceful and optimistic and all of that, and kind and respectful too, those are things that those are values. Those are life skills that they know no boundaries, but they can also strengthen your creative endeavors. And my fifth takeaway, going back to the title of this session, which was The Power of Creativity, is actually to embrace that power, to see it as a superpower that you carry. It's in your pocket. Pull it out. Look beyond the status quo. Take it in a way that you're trying to make yourself a better person, that you can fulfill your life to the utmost, and know that you've really given it your all. You can choose to be creative, and unless there's some really, really good reason on any given day, there's not really any reason why not to choose it, even if just a little bit, one piece at a time, step by step. So, with that, I hope I've given you a little bit of an incentive. Actually, I hope I've given you a lot of incentive to be creative, to take yourself to a new height, to put on a different lens, to try something different, and to use this life skill as a way to strengthen your own life and give it balance from day to day to day as we move forward. So I thank you for engaging with me in this particular way. You can always reach me via my website at joannefoster.ca. And I hope that you enjoy all the presentations for these World Unity Days. And I want to thank Marlene Cover for enabling me to take part and to provide you with some of my ideas. And I hope you found them meaningful. Thank you. Bye.